Welcome, welcome. So my name is Diami. I welcome all pronouns, and I'm part of the programs team at Farm School NYC. I grew up in the Bronx, and I was a farm school student in 2020. I joined staff in 2022, and I cannot believe we're in 2025. So, yeah, really grateful for this opportunity to share about what Farm School is up to and how you all can participate. If you want to continue introducing yourself in the chat, please feel free to. We've got name, pronouns, the garden farm organization that you are a part of, if you are part of one, and what's something that you're growing right now. So, a few folks have shared giant zucchinis, watermelon, lots of veggies and fruit, a burdock plant. So, yeah, thanks so much for sharing these tidbits about who you are and why you're here. So I will share screen. The agenda today, I'm basically going to share the purpose, the eligibility requirements, and some of the parts that are needed for microgrants, and then we'll have question and answer. So it's short, simple, and right to the point, so we can take advantage of y'all being here with me. As you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We have one of the Farm School alumni, Kai, is with us this evening, and they'll be capturing your questions. I might not be able to answer all of them. The ones I cannot answer, I will be putting up on the website as part of our FAQ. So it'll just give me a little time to touch base with the committee and make sure that I'm on the same page with them about what we are communicating to everyone. So thanks for your patience in advance. All right. So the Farm School microgrant program is part of an agreement that we are in with the Farm Service Agency, which is part of the USDA. It's part of the Urban Agriculture Act of 2018. They're piloting 27 urban service centers across the country, and we are one of them. The urban service center that we have is that FSA has is in Brooklyn, and Farm School NYC serves as the community partner to help get that information out to folks and engage urban growers with the USDA. So our agreement has four components. We are uplifting the Urban County Committee. If you are in Brooklyn, I will invite you later on this evening to register to vote for your representative. Each borough gets a representative, and they're elected every 2 years. We're also uplifting a recommendations report that we wrote for the Farm Service Agency, which is also on our website. We are doing a lot of programs. Farm School's bread and butter for many, many years, I'm sure some of you might know, is our citywide program. We've shifted a little bit into a pilot version, offering different courses this year, and we are fundraising to help initiate more programs for 2026 and beyond. And the last piece, which is why you all are gathered here today, is about this microgrants program. So it's $100,000 that we get to distribute to urban growers in New York City. And we are super excited to do this for the first time, to distribute funds in this way. So our micro grant program, the purpose is, folks are joining. Okay, thanks, Kai. The microgrant purpose has a couple of goals. One is to implement conservation practices that improve soil quality, resilience to natural disasters, just like cultivate regenerative practices and make sure that folks can improve their growing conditions. Another is to provide supplies, equipment, and technical assistance to growers. So if there's something that like is a big purchase that you haven't been able to make and you want to because it'll extend the life of whatever project you have going on, that's another goal of this funding. We want to increase capacity for growing food, whether you want to grow more food, build more beds, serve more people. How do we actually help you increase your reach with each of your projects? And lastly, there's barriers to USDA funding. And so we want to be able to have more like bite-size grants and programs that people kind of show the records of, and then that can lead to larger funding over time. What can you use the funds for? So kind of being a little bit more specific on the same points from the last slide, but implementing integrated agriculture, purchasing on-farm infrastructure equipment, access to training and technical assistance. This is one of the exciting parts for me about this is, if you wanted a session with a bookkeeper or you wanted more information about how to collect data for the folks that you serve, so you can more articulately share your impact and what you're doing and get that across to other grant applications or your funders, whoever it is that you're trying to reach. Community-based education, programming, outreach materials. And then lastly, to either expand your growing operations as they exist, or provide cost sharing, right? So let's say you're trying to purchase something that's $15,000 and we've got 10, right? You're kind of pairing that information. And so being specific in what it is that your funding will support will be helpful for us to understand what your project goals are. Oh, click too fast. Okay. So requirements for the microgrant program, folks should identify as an urban producer. That means that you're producing or preparing to produce healthy food within the 5 boroughs, whether, that's fruits, vegetables, combinations, mushrooms, you're tending bees. These are all things that you're producing something that you can share with your community. So yeah, folks who are stewarding land, they can grow aquaponically, hydroponically. Maybe you're experimenting with mushrooms, or you want to get a beehive, something like that. And essentially, you're using your funding and sharing a final report within the year of 2026. And then we have a small tidbit of storytelling and data collection. The data collection is truly more about how did you use your funds? What was the impact? So light data collection and really just storytelling about the impact that these funds have. As you know, there's many federal funding freezes and cuts that are being made. And so how do we really share the impact of this funding so that we can continue to receive it? We're almost there, folks. This is sort of more technical pieces. These areas are a little bit more tedious. The farm income should be under $250,000 annually. That is the USDA definition of a small farm. We are somewhat flexible with that, and so I wouldn't harp too much on whether or not, oh, our organization gets more than that or whatever. Like if you have a farm budget or a garden budget, and it's under that 250K, just make sure that that's clear in your application. That way the committee can review and decide around the feasibility of your project and things like that. Ideally, you have a fiscal sponsor or a bank account. You need to have a place where you can receive the funding. We need to be able to send it over to you so that you could use it, make the purchases that you need to make, and that we can track those expenses. The last piece here that is a little bit more complicated, if your project requires disturbing land, and it's more than what the land is already disturbed at, it might trigger a NEPA review, which is the National Environmental Policy Act. And that would just require a bit more time and more information. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you would like to change 6 of the garden beds in your urban space, in your growing space. And you want to make them sturdier, right? And so they're maybe 2 inches into the ground already. You actually want to dig to 6 inches, or you want to put posts in that are 12 inches, right? Instead of those 2 that you already have, because it requires that land disturbance. It's different than what is already done. That will trigger a NEPA review, which just means that they want to make sure that there's not you're not disrupting the site in a way that either impacts the environment with construction or impacts remains that are there already. And so the USDA might say, hey, where exactly is that project? Can you share the map? Can you share pictures of the site? Can you share the plans for the build? And so it can get very specific. And so I just say that because if that is something you want to do, I don't want to ward you away from it. I just want to let you know that it might take a little bit longer for approval from the USDA itself. We can talk more about that, but folks tend to not like, yeah, do large construction projects. If you do have one of those, we can talk later. Or you can email me separately about that. Okay, our timeline. This is the short, cute version of our timeline. The microgrant opens this month. I'm gonna launch it tomorrow. I just want to read through it one more time and make sure I've included the last edits that I asked of the committee last week. Our application review period begins in September. We're going to review on a rolling basis. Some folks tend to wait until like the very last minute to submit your application. You can take your time. Feel free to submit in September or October. We wanted to give folks about a month and a half, 2 months to sit with the questions and think through their projects. But we will start reviewing in September. So feel free to submit it on the earlier end. We'll be able to review them and start ranking them. In October, the application closes. It's the end of October. And the official announcement will be in February. So we have to actually take our the finalists, the folks that we select, and send them to the USDA for approval. And so the Farm Service Agency will review the applicants that we select, and we'll kind of stamp the approval, and then we'll reach back out to folks to let them know that they've been selected. Don't You can close your eyes if this overwhelms you, but don't be too scared. This is just showing like what we've done so far. We are here at the microgrant info session. It has the same kind of dates of like when the selection starts. And this just includes some of the more like details around what I shared. We have to share with FSA when the awards are expected to be dispersed. And I give a window of time because we have to request the funding from Farm Service Agency, and then we'll distribute that out to all of you. And then the award project period. Again, you'll get these slides, so don't worry about hopping them over. Okay, I'm going to pause. This is the application itself. I'm going to just scroll through it so you can see and get a sense of the questions that we're asking and the length of it. I did not require all of these questions. However, they are all required. Do not skip any questions. The reason I didn't require them in the Google form is because we wanted folks to be able to actually see all the questions. If you require every question, it means you can't get to the next page without filling in that information. And the Google form does auto-save, but for folks who might want to like do a video submission instead of writing or typing out all their answers, we wanted to make sure it was accessible. So please do not skip questions. Answer them all to the best of your ability. The first section is your applicant contact information, how we can reach you, who a secondary contact is, your eligibility. So like where along the food system are you? What borough are you located? Where's your urban growing space located in? Who do you serve? Do you do any of the stewardship practices to make sure that you're eligible? And then we go into your project. So where is your project? Do you have a fiscal sponsor or a bank account? Just confirming that it makes less than that 250K for a small farm. You can share what neighborhoods or zip codes your project serves. And we're trying to make these as many like check boxes as possible so that y'all can like move through the application quickly. So you can just check off what applies, what categories do you fall under? And these are the same that were in the presentation, right? So like, is it equipment? Is it skill building? Is it community engagement? Is it for programming? And so you can just check off what your project is. The goals are here, so you can check off the goals as well. Who's on your team? Do you have an online presence or not? And then the main body of the application are these 4 questions. So the purpose of your group, do you have partnerships? What's your story? What is your project? What is your timeline for your project? How do you know you'll be successful? This part is optional here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, see if that's better. Where, yes, you can check off multiple responses. Yes. This piece is optional. You can like add a picture or have a short slideshow. Maybe you have an audio clip, something that you want to share. There is a limit. It's a 5-minute limit or 1 to 5 pages. So don't go too crazy. It's just like to share a little bit more than just like writing, So if you want to share a picture of your space or um, yeah, you're welcome to kind of add supplemental material. It will not detract from your application. It would just give us a little bit more of your story. Then we have the budget section. I made two sample budgets here. You're free to use, there's here a tab that says make a copy blank template. So you could just file, make a copy, and then fill it out yourself if you have Google, or you can like imitate it on another document. But there are some sample budgets here just to kind of show you what each of these columns are. You don't have to be this detailed, but I did want to like give folks just some support, some examples. And there is an organization that you can reach out to for technical assistance for any grant applications, not just farm schools, but like any grants that you have. They're called We Act for Environmental Justice. They're based in Harlem. Okay, yeah. So the budget section just kind of says like, okay, what is your timeline for the use of the funds? What do you want to spend the funding on? Who will manage those funds? And then just a little bit about your group and like what the decision-making structure is. So feel free to share a little bit about that portion. And that makes up like the bulk. These are like kind of the short answers. It's really the budget, how you're going to use those funds. These are all like multiple choice, and then a little bit about your group structure. But the like mostly the writing would happen here. And we put a max of 10 sentences. Not a word limit necessarily, right? But like you don't need to write 7 paragraphs. Please do not, because we will struggle to read all of it in the amount of time that we have. So yeah, don't worry too much. Like keep it short and simple. Share what you feel is like compelling and clear. Um, and we're yeah, super excited to hear what y'all are up to. This last part is just that you've like read the announcement and that you are whether or not you're like willing to be part of our storytelling. Um, and that's it. Try to keep it short. We have a lot to like cover in projects, so I know it is still kind of long, but this document here also goes through it. I'm sure some of you have seen it already. But yeah, these are more of the details of the from the presentation that I showed already. Okay, that essentially wraps up the presentation portion of the microgrants program. I'm happy to take any questions that you have in the meantime, and or reiterate things if I went too fast. And in the meantime, I will drop links in the chat. Hi, Pedro, go ahead. You can start us off.
Hi, hopefully you can hear me. I'm outside. But I had a quick question regarding the part we were talking about if projects had to do with disturbing the land. Currently at our community garden, it used to be an aquaponics farm, and when things kind of transitioned over from the production that was happening from aquaponics and then into the hands of the community where we are now stewarding it, we were
Mhm.
able to save a lot of the fishes that kind of got out from the main bed and then to the growing bed. So we luckily at the garden still have a lot of fishes in a little aquaponics system. And part of what we've been wanting to do is to build a little pond for the fish for them to live, which would also then create another whole ecosystem for us to grow and teach folks in the community just more about aquaponics. And yeah, I was just curious more about like with this or how this would fit in or how, yeah, that this
Yeah,
kind of disturbing the land kind of caveat part for projects like this possibly.
yeah. That's a great question. Thanks so much for sharing about your project. It sounds really cool. I would say that the more specific you are, if you want to like dig out the pond, if it's not already pre-dug and you want to dig it out or dig it out further, I would just submit like a project plan. I would do like a map, a screenshot of where the location is within the lot, how deep you intend on digging, and that would most likely trigger a NEPA review, but at least we'd have like a good amount of that information available to the USDA so that they could review it. Um, yeah, I would just say to be as specific as possible. So whether that's like drawing a map, taking a screenshot of where the garden is, um, how deep you are going to dig, and yeah, I think that would cover most of the bases, at least for now. And then they would do research on like where the lot is and see the historical records or whatever and do their thing.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, and that, I think like that would just kind of be a portion probably if we were to include that into the application, but that wouldn't kind of be like our whole
The main. Okay,
yeah, that would just kind of be one of the kind of things that the funding could help us do.
got you. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. You could highlight that as well. And then yeah, if anything, you can email me further questions about that, but for the most part, that should be okay. I would say the only tricky part is that NEPA might take a little longer. So if your application like ends up being really strong, just be patient with the funds because if the USDA is going to review it, then your funding might not come in April. It might come in May or June. Um, and that could be okay. You just have to be prepared for, a delay because the USDA is a little bit more unpredictable.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I think I saw Daniel's hand, and then we'll take Elizabeth, and then I'll look at the chat.
How you doing? So mine's is just sweet and simple. I'm in Yonkers. I know it's not a borough, but it's the Lost Borough. Um, would
I hear
that
you. Welcome,
would
welcome.
that work? I'm also working with the Bronx Land Trust, but they're going through like, there's a lot of different gardens and different
Right.
places, so I will have to sit down and see. But is it a possibility that we could come to Yonkers with this opportunity?
It's supposed to be within the 5 boroughs for the urban service centers. I would say I could take it to the committee and see how they feel about it. I would, if you're able to like solidify that Bronx Land Trust relationship and kind of like partner or do like, hey, a little bit for you and a little bit for our site in Yonkers. I think that could make a stronger, more compelling application for the committee. So I wouldn't say no, um, but I'm not like an 100% yes either. Yeah, thanks for being here, and I hear you. You're definitely our neighbor. Elizabeth?
Thank you very much, Diami. So I have several questions, and I hope they will be useful to others. Building on what Pedro asked, is there somewhere where that we can refer to as like what USDA would define as disturbance? Maybe that's a way to know if what we're suggesting would fall in that category.
Yeah, I think that they did send some documents. I will find them and
Mhm,
I will see what I have like notes from a meeting they gave us from a long time ago. Maybe one of their contact people has like a handout or something. But
mhm.
basically they're like like anything beyond what's already disturbed.
Okay.
So I think even if you were like 1 more inch, they'd be like, oh,
But
it's
our,
past what
our
was
land
disturbed.
was industrial land, and our most of our
Right.
beds are raised.
Yeah.
So, I
Right.
mean, I'm
Mhm.
not an expert, but I would think this is not, I mean, this land was
I
disturbed by
know.
many
I
other
know.
things.
Yeah, I
So
was in that
that's
info
why.
session with them and I was like, I'm in New York City and all
Exactly.
of our land
Yeah.
is I know,
Exactly.
yeah, I feel you. I feel you so yeah.
So
So, but
any
either way, I'll
additional.
look for resources. Yeah, I'll look for
Okay.
some resources. I'm gonna
Thank
make a note right now. Find
thank you.
resources to share about you said the specifics, right, of what would qualify for a NEPA review.
Thank you.
Yes.
So my next question is if it's I think I feel yes because you contacted us, but is it okay to be a not commercial garden? We're a community garden, and so we produce food for our members. Of course, the membership can increase, but we're not selling anything. Is that
Yeah,
considered
you do not
commercial?
have to be a commercial
Okay.
farm.
Okay.
Yes, you do not have to be a commercial farm. You also do not have to be a 501c3. You do need to have a bank account and like a
Yes.
good enough
Okay.
group structure in your
Mm-hmm.
growing space that you can confidently spend $10,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you might be a community garden, but if your membership is going to be like, well, I want to spend it this way and I want to spend it that way, but you already wrote the application and it says this, and that, and that's what you got awarded for,
Mm-hmm.
and then folks struggle to spend it. Like you should have a strong group
Yeah.
structure that can
Okay.
spend the funding. Yeah,
And
but you don't
and
have to be a commercial farm.
and what about the lease with is there any requirement of how we don't own? We have a 1 year lease with the MTA that is renewed, but is there any requirement in that sense? Because we had problems with other grants because of that.
Yeah, I see. We haven't gotten to the grant agreement portion. I don't think that Farm School will be asking for lease agreements. If
Okay.
you steward your land and you have time there and you're still going to be
Hmm.
there through 2026, and you can
Okay.
spend your funding in 2026 on that
Hmm.
land, that should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. If
My
that changes, I
Yeah.
will
No,
put that on the website. Mhm.
okay, thank you. That's very helpful. My last question is about reporting because I did see
Yeah.
there's a part about like being part of the storytelling, etc. But is there any requirement for formal reporting of how we use the grant?
There will be, yeah, there's like a little bit of formal reporting. We're just gonna ask a couple questions. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
say, how did you use your funds, which you will have already described in your application. Um, how did you end up using your funds? What was the impact of those funds? And then again, just being part of that storytelling piece, right? Can we
Okay.
visit? Can we take a picture? Can we share your story on our Instagram? Can we share your story on our website? That's going to be the reporting. And then the parts around the purchases, I would say that's a part of reporting, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you get to the final report and then you have to submit like a giant, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of purchasing things as you go.
Okay. I mean,
And
we'll
that will
keep
be,
a
yeah,
record,
just keep
obviously. Yeah.
yeah, your receipts, your reimbursements. That's part of quote unquote reporting in the financial sense. But as for like reporting paperwork, not really. It's going to be how'd you use your funds? What was the impact? Was it helpful to you?
Okay.
Really short, really simple.
Thank you. I'll
Yeah.
stop here. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Elizabeth.
much.
Yeah, that was good. Those are good questions. I see folks in the chat. Kai, I don't know if you have certain ones that either have already been answered or if I should just go down the line.
Yeah, so there's like a due date question. The fiscal sponsor, you already answered.
Okay.
Have you worked with schools? Is one that hasn't been answered. We have a study on gardening and would love to bring in items for the students to be able to grow stuff.
Nice. Okay. So Farm School hasn't given out grants before in this way. We do usually when we receive grants, we kind of subcontract to our partners. And so in that way we've done distribution of resources. I wouldn't I wouldn't not apply if I were you. I would just be really clear about like, yeah, how the students are able to grow, if they'll be growing in the classroom, like where is the growing space? Is it in their classroom? Is it in students' homes? How will you kind of like build on that? Is that like, are they, growing in pots that they'll be able to use again the next year? Or is it kind of like a one-time project? I would kind of speak to that if you are a school that would like to apply. And a growing space, and we're in a city, so like a classroom can be a growing space. It's just about kind of like how you're set up, how much you share about that, and then what, how many students. Is it just one kindergarten class? Is it all of your eighth grade classes? So what's kind of the scale, and who's able to grow, and what does that urban growing space look like? I hope that's helpful. Let me know in the chat again if you need more, if you want more from there.
Okay. Can read the next one.
Okay, thanks, Kai.
Yeah, so someone who's a mushroom producer still looking for commercial space for operation, and what a major what do you call it? Budget item for the grant. So do you count as an urban producer if you're preparing to grow food in 2026, or do you need to be producing currently?
Yeah, great question. So we have either already, sorry?
Nothing, just talking to myself. Sorry.
Okay, so good. Yeah, so we do have produce or preparing to produce. One of our goals is to help folks increase their capacity. So I would say if you have like a very clear vision, I would apply. If you have like, okay, this is the growing, this warehouse, I'm in conversation with the landlord, this is my potential lease. Here's a cut, right? We have that supplemental optional thing. If you uploaded your soon to be lease, like there are things like that that could help sort of show us what your intention is and what this funding would allow your capacity to do or like increase your capacity, right? And so I would go for it. I would say that that's okay and that would qualify. Do I need to be producing right now or is preparing and having experience enough? Yeah, so I would say preparing and having experience is enough to apply. The committee ultimately will review all the applications and kind of pick from there. But I wouldn't, these are grants that are aiming to help either create the space that folks are looking for that they haven't had the time or funding to get, or to augment and support and increase what's already been established. And so you would qualify under that. So I'd just be really specific about your vision, so that it is like really clear what you're trying to do and what your impact would be in 2026 funding.
Can I ask a question related to that one?
Sure, Jaylene, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if, based on what they were saying about like, or just by nature of the fact that the space they're looking for is indoor, would like office/programming space attached to a community garden, but that is not outdoors, qualify?
Similar to like the school question, I think that like we want to know, how is your space a growing space, right? So are you growing indoors? Like if you're helping with programming, how is it connected to that outdoor space? If you have the garden or the folks in the garden and then they come inside to learn about the garden and then they go back out, like, and what is it that the funding is going to? If it's like going to office chairs and office supplies only, that's not as compelling, right? As like, oh, we need garden equipment and we also need like markers and butcher block paper, what is it called? Chart paper, so we can teach our kids, right? Or whoever your programming audience is. So yeah, I would just make sure to tie it really clearly to a growing space and to kind of share like, how would this funding take you to the next level? Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's super helpful. I also plan to send a follow-up email with more specific questions to our
Sure.
case. So but that was really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, looking forward to it. All right, I'm here with Kieran Pierce question. For my community garden, we want to use some of the funds to purchase ollas for water conservation, some of the funds to cover the rest of the expenses for building an accessibility path in the garden. Is that acceptable? Building on this question, should we apply for one specific project? Can we have more projects? Main project and we decide. Okay, great questions. I would say it's $10,000. Some folks will say I can use all 10K in one project. Some folks will say, listen, I'm gonna take this 10K and divide it up into these 5 projects, and this is how I'm gonna accomplish. The clearer your vision and the more realistic you are, the better. If you're out here saying, oh, I'm gonna have 5 projects and I got 2 people on my team, we're gonna be like, are you sure that's possible? So yeah, just making sure it's like feasible, realistic. You can have multiple projects. It's really about like your capacity to complete them, and the realisticness of like using that funding and doing the projects to a degree that is like helpful to you. And then I would say for your question, Kieran, that the accessibility path is going to be similar to what Pedro asked about, because you'll be disturbing the land unless you already have a path there and you're just like mulching it or putting pavers down, right? Like, and you're not disturbing the land further. You'll be safer from a NEPA review. If you're going to like be digging down more, that might trigger a NEPA review. So that just means that you have to have patience for the amount of time it might take to get that approved and then to get the funding to you. Okay, I see your thumbs up. Great. Cool. Wow, we've covered so much. I just need to like, I want to offer you all a breath. gonna offer myself a breath. Um, this is great. Oh, I wish we could do this like every single year. Okay. Greetings. Don't worry about being late. Welcome, welcome. Where or how can I access the transcript? This is recorded, Taekwon. So it'll be sent out. I'll email all of you because I have your registrations from Zoom. So I'll email this out to you, and then also I'll upload it to our website. And all the questions are here, and then we're gonna take the questions and put them in the actual FAQ, so you'll be able to like reread through it. And we'll clarify our answers with the committee too. So give us about a week or two to get that FAQ up for you all. Does the grant cover staff or only supplies? Yeah, the grant can cover staff. It has to be staff related to a growing space or growing project. So for example, if you're going to hire an intern to run your programming for kindergartners, you can pay that intern because it's directly related to that urban growing space. I don't think that the funding would cover like an operations role, unfortunately, that's not like directly correlated to the capacity of your growing space itself. So yes, it can cover labor. It just has to be like very clearly tied to what your growing space is doing. Valid to apply for indoor space officer program. Yeah, as long as it's related to an urban growing space, I would say that yes. Should application be submitted for the full 10,000? We are trying to, as much as possible, yes, to try to really apply for all $10,000. Part of the reason is our capacity is limited at farm school. So it's, in an ideal world, we could be doing a range of grant amounts. But we're trying to stick to like fewer groups with larger sums so that we can like increase our impact with the groups that are established, that have been making an impact, that have a really clear vision of what they're going to do. So yeah, I would say try to get to that full 10K. It's okay if you don't have like every single dollar planned out. A lot of things are estimated, prices change. So yeah, I would say aim for that for the 10K. And if farm school's capacity changes and we're able to kind of be like, oh, okay, how about we give 7,500 to these folks and 5K to these folks, then like we'll get there, but we're really trying to be like 10 for 10 for the funding. Thanks, y'all in the chat. Supporting other folks. Appreciate it. Okay, wow, we ran through so much. Yes, truly. I'm just gonna review some more of these links that I have for you. I'm gonna put those in the chat as well. So the application will be live tomorrow. It'll be on our website, which I'll put our website in the chat as well. And it'll be those same questions that I shared with you all today. Oh, I should hyperlink it. Yeah, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yes, I have another question again on if we present several projects, for example, and you have too many applications, will you consider, like if my first project is 5,000 and my second project is 3,000, whatever, and there's not enough money to have both projects funded, will you consider funding only one, or will that be this, or will you focus really on just the bigger projects? Yeah, I think it's a very hard question to answer now.
I'm trying to understand, what you're asking. Like if
So
you have
assuming that
two big
everybody,
projects,
yeah,
or like that it goes over that 10K.
No, assuming that we already have here probably more than 10 organizations, and if all of us apply for $10,000, the grant money will be gone. So if you have to make trade-offs, make decisions, will you uh, uh, will you like just take the bigger? Well, I imagine there's a selection process on the quality of the application too, but assuming all quality is equal, will you consider okay, my Smiling Hawks Head Ranch, I can't fund you with the 10,000 because there's too many other applications, but I can fund you with a smaller amount that will at least cover one of your projects. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
Or partially
Okay,
cover your application.
I see. Right. So the committee will review all applications.
Mhm.
We have a scoring criteria. We're going to focus on what your project goals are, how clear you are about like the feasibility of your project. Right. Like I said before, if you're gonna pull up with 5 projects, they should be spaced out over time or have like a very diligent process so that you can like get them done. We all are very ambitious folks, and so we dream big and we go for the gold. So yeah, just keeping it like realistic, feasible, how many people are on your team. Um, and then yeah, what your budget will be used on. If we get to the point where like we're really torn between applications, um, it would be up to the committee. I mean, I would sit with the committee, and
Yeah.
if they say, wow, we really can't say no to this, let's do partial, we're between 2 grants that are like, oh, we can't do it. Like this is impossible, right? Like, and they wanted to split the funding in that way, I would just go to our operations team and ask if that's feasible for them. It's really about capacity. It's about like
Mhm. Mhm.
how much paperwork, how much tracking, how many reports. Like we have to report to FSA, and so we're trying to keep it light on the grantees ends,
Mhm.
so that we can be as clear with FSA as possible, so that you
Mhm.
don't have to be. And so I wouldn't say no. I would just say that it'll be case by case. Like
Mhm.
it'll be up to like the committee's clarity and like excitement about an application.
Mhm.
They're all urban growers. They've all been like many of these situations before where they've applied for grants, been rejected, applied for grants and gotten them. And so we have a really good crew. Um, and then again, just going back to our operations team and really saying like,
Mhm.
hey, is it okay if we add an 11th? Or hey,
Yeah.
we have 12. Oh, is that okay? Like, how does that
Yeah.
feel? What does that mean? What does that look like?
Okay.
So yeah.
And it's one application per organization, not one per project. Because that could be another way to.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really up to you and how much time you have. Like, if you are
Mhm.
an organization and you say, wow, like, we can't pick, it's the 5 of us, we're applying, we have 2 really compelling projects. Our membership is like, we cannot decide. Like, how about they decide? And you want to submit 2 applications? That's fine. You just have to make sure
Okay.
that both of them are strong.
Of
Like if
course.
you're going to
Yeah.
submit
Yeah.
like one really strong application and one that's like, well, we felt bad and wanted to include it, like
Mhm.
that's not going to be good for your time or for our time. So, yeah, I wouldn't say like no, don't submit one application, but
Mhm.
if you can make the $10,000 have 2 projects or 3 projects, or pick, like really prioritize. This is,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
a good chunk of funding that can move your project along. And it's truly about like taking you to the next level, whether you're a little tiny startup or you are a really expert, you're at expert level, and you want to get into that next stage. Like that's really what it's about. It's about increasing capacity. How many people are you reaching? Who can you serve? How many lives are you trying to like reach and move towards food justice and land stewardship? We're facing a lot of really intense issues. And so yeah, we're really grateful that all of you are here to like steward land and be in relationship to the earth. And we just want to support that to the best that we can.
Thank you very much.
Support.
It's very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions coming through or comments that folks want to share? All right, so I'm going to share some announcements in the meantime. To reiterate, I will upload this to our website. I will gather all the FAQ, like the questions, into our FAQ. I will link that in a follow-up email as well. That'll take about a week or two because I actually have to like meet with the committee and confirm answers and stuff. So yeah, give me a little time. I'll probably send the recording out and then I will follow up with the FAQ in a second email. And then all of it will also be on our website. So you will get all this information. And I'm just going to put a couple of announcements in the chat for all of you. Most importantly, I would say that if you have not yet registered to vote and you are a New York City urban grower, please register to vote. There's an urban county committee that works directly with the Farm Service Agency. They actually get a stipend for participating. They get also travel covered when you like go to gardens and farms and do outreach and support. They're registering voters until September 14th. This summer is the Brooklyn election. They're actually going to elect a Brooklyn representative. And then the other boroughs kind of get staggered. So like next year, I think is Manhattan and Staten Island. And then the following, like last year, we did Bronx and Queens. So we rotate in that way. And yeah, so I put all the links for that in the chat. Our website has more information about the Urban County Committee. There's a meeting in October where y'all can gather. They do kind of like different topics to kind of share amongst urban growers, share resources and information. We have 2 upcoming courses. We're doing crop planning and drought resilience. So feel free to sign up for those. They're just one-off workshops. Crop planning is actually a series, it's 3 classes with Amara, who is runs a medicinal herbal farm upstate and used to be a facilitator at Farm School, or still is actually. They facilitate classes. Yeah, so we're super excited to offer those. Please sign up for our newsletter if you want to. And then Farm School is struggling financially. Sad, what organization isn't these days? So if you'd like to join our town hall, please feel free to RSVP for that. Just want to like be transparent with our community about where we're at and get this funding out to y'all as quickly as we can. So yes, if you have any other questions, please email me and I will work with the committee to get you the answers that you need. We're super, super excited to be able to do this. We thought we weren't going to be able to have our FSA funding, and we're super happy that it did not get cut. And so, yeah, again, we're really grateful to all of you stewarding the land, doing the work, staying in community, building networks. And yeah, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. This is great.
All right, y'all, if anyone has any last burning questions or comments, feel free to throw them in. But if not, I wish you a very, very good evening. I look forward to, we all, our committee members, some of them are here in the crowd. We look forward to seeing your applications and learning more about you. Take care, okay?
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Don't need me to